Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Okay. Yesterday, by the end of the class, there was a doubt regarding flabellate antenna, and I avoided two types of antenna. Actually, these two types of modifications of antenna are a kind of modifications of what are the some modifications which you are told. So, flabellate, if we discuss about flabellate, means it is a modification of our lamellate antenna, wherein we have seen there will be lateral expansions of the terminal segments of the antenna. And there is one more antenna which I didn't taught you was hooked antenna. Actually, that's a modification of capitate antenna. So today, first we will see those two uh, antenna types, and then we will move on to the modifications of insect mouth parts. Uh, the first one is flabellate antenna. Uh, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you observe the antennae, you can see that the structure of antennae looks like the lamellate antenna, which we have discussed. But there is lateral expansions of the terminal segment of the antenna. But the difference is that only difference between flabellate and lamellate antenna is that the segments which are oval or global are in lamellate antenna, but here it is into expanded into long lateral process, expanded laterally into long parallel process. This is an elongated structure. Earlier in lamellate antenna it was oval or in nature, but here it is an elongate process. That's the basic difference between flabellate and lamellate antenna. Certain beetles have Ripiforidae. There is a family called as Ripiforidae, and this Ripiforidae family has this kind of flabellate antenna. Another insect group which we have flabellate antenna is Strepsiptera. You will discuss about Strepsiptera later in the taxonomy part. So the difference between flabellate and lamellate antenna is that the last terminal segments are enlarged into are expanded, laterally expanded, but these are elongated structures. Earlier it was oval or globular in shape in the case of lamellate antenna. Then we will discuss about a slight modification of capitate antenna. We have seen capitate antenna is seen in butterflies. That means the terminal segments of the antenna are expanded, suddenly expanded. Only the terminal segments. That is capitate antenna. But in hooked antenna, that is a modification of capitate antenna, wherein the tip of the antenna is curved into a hook-like structure, just like what you can see. It is the tip of the antenna. It is a capitate antenna, but the terminal segments are modified into a hook-like structure. This is seen as skipper butterflies. Skipper butterflies, it is pretty common in our area. So if you observe a butterfly and if you see a hooked antenna, that is invariably a skipper butterfly. And you can see it over here. See, there is lateral expansions of the antenna. This is a flabellate modification. And these lateral expansions are elongated, thin, slender, long. If you go back and see the lamellate antenna, you can see that it is oval and rounded. And see this is the hooked antenna. You can see up to this, the size of the antenna segments are same. Afterwards, the size has increased. That is a capitate antenna. But see the tip of this antenna, it is modified into a hook-like structure. So this is seen in skipper butterflies. So it's in called as hooked antenna. So with this, we finish the antenna part, and we will move on to the next portion. So in the notes given, there is a doubt from Nina that in the notes given, butterfly is given at the example of clavate antenna. Yes, there can be certain butterflies which have clavate antenna. Clavate antenna is actually, that's why I classified clavate and capitate in one segment, that is clubbed antenna. And I have given this as subdivisions. So in most of the butterflies, it is capitate antenna, not clavate antenna. But in certain butterflies, you can see clavate antenna also. That's why insects are so diverse. Even if I tell you about this, just now told you about flabellate antenna. Flabellate antenna, I have given example as beetles. But if you go back and see the lamellate antenna, there also it is a beetle, that is carabid beetle or dunroller beetle. In flabellate antenna, not all beetles are not having flabellate antenna. It is having only small group of beetles are having flabellate antenna. That's the difference. The thing is that mine certain groups of insects are having some modifications while certain other groups are having another modifications. Since you are entering into the entomology course first, we are not going into deep about these modifications. But once you are going into the taxonomy part, when Hasina teacher will teach you the taxonomy part, Madam will teach you each and every family what is the modification. Then you will understand in the butterfly group itself, you will be having clavate antenna, capitate antenna. Several families are having capitate antenna. Several families are having clavate antenna. While several families will be having hooked antenna. But all these are clubbed antenna, or where the terminal segments are expanded. That expansion is having slight differences. In clavate means it slowly expands. In capitate means it suddenly expands. In hooked means it's a capitate antenna with the terminal segments expanded. So basically, in the case of butterflies, the modification is expansion of the terminal segments of antenna, that you can remember. Okay, now I will move on to the modifications of mouth parts. Yesterday we have seen mouth parts, the basic generalized type of biting and chewing type of mouth parts. Now we will see modifications of mouth parts. These are mostly haustellate mouth parts because these are mainly used for sucking fluid food. So we will see it one by one. This includes piercing and sucking. Piercing and sucking, we have two types, bugs as well as mosquitoes. Bugs suck sap from plants. Mosquitoes, as you know, it sucks blood from human beings and animals. And the next one is rasping and sucking. This is mainly seen in a group of insects called as thrips. These are extremely small insects. You might not have seen thrips with your naked eyes. You can see thrips with naked eyes, but you have to be a pretty keen observer to see a thrips. The next one is sponging type, which we normally see in the case of houseflies. Then we have butterflies and moths, which have siphoning type of mouthparts. And the last one is chewing and lapping type of mouthparts in honeybees. We will see it one by one. First one I will discuss is the hemipteran type of piercing and sucking type of mouthparts. You can say hemiptera means, you will discuss about hemiptera in the taxonomy class more. We will more discuss about hemiptera in the taxonomy class. Hemiptera means it is bugs. നമ്മുടെ ചാഴികൾ എന്ന് പറയുന്നു. So these bugs has the habit of piercing the plant tissue and sucking sap from the plant tissue. So those mouth parts which are modified for piercing and sucking plant tissues, and these are called as the hemipteran piercing and sucking type of mouth parts. Here, in order to enable the piercing and sucking habit of the insect, the mandibles and maxillae of the insect is modified into stylets. So here the mandibles and maxillae are modified into stylets. Stylets means these are slender, elongate, bristle-like process. Stylets means mandibles we have seen in general biting and chewing mouth parts. These are hardened plate-like structures. But in the case of hemipteran mouth parts, piercing and sucking kind of mouth parts, these mandibles as well as maxillae is modified into bristle-like. Bristle-like elongated stylets. And the labrum will be there. I will discuss about labrum. and we have mandibles, a pair of mandibular stylus, because mandibles insect it is in a pair, that means two mandibles are this. Both the mandibles will be modified into stylets, and these mandibular stylets will be anterior, because after labrum it comes the mandibles. So mandibles will be the anterior stylets, and posterior to the mandibular stylets we have a pair of maxillary stylets. So mandibular stylets are present, and mandibles are modified into stylets, and these stylets are anterior. And in order to pierce the plant tissue, this apical portion of the mandibular stylets has having serrations. So for piercing a plant tissue, it needs some sharp thing. So the tip of the mandibular stylus is having some serrations, so like serrations. അറക്കവാള് പോലെ ചെറിയൊരു serrations കാണും. So the mandibular stylus, which is mandibles are modified into stylets, and these stylets are anterior in position. And at the tip of the mandibular stylus, we have serrations to enable the stylets to pierce the plant tissue. Posterior to the mandibular stylets, we have a pair of maxillary stylets. And these maxillary stylets, if you see the structure of maxillary stylets, if you see a maxillary stylet, if you see a cross section of a maxillary stylet, you can see the structure of maxillary stylet will be in the form of a W. Can you see this? Can you see a W-like structure over here? Yes, okay. So this is the way a maxillary stylet will look like. The cross section, it is having a structure of W. And you can see two channels because of this middle portion, middle ridge like thing. We have two channels over here. So the maxillary stylets are grooved along its inner aspect. It is doubly grooved. That means there are two grooves. You can see two grooves over here. I will show one more thing. So these are the two maxillary stylets. I told you maxillary stylets. We have a pair of maxillary stylets. We have a pair of mandibular stylets. Both the internal, see the cross section, it is having a shape of a W. It is doubly grooved. So what the insect will do is it keeps both the side maxillary stylets together. If you see the structure now, if the maxillary stylets are kept together, it forms two tubes. These channels, when it is kept together, it forms two tubes. And this dorsal tube is the suction canal, and the ventral tube is the salivary canal. So I told you the maxillary stylets have a shape of W. If you see the inner aspect of the maxillary stylet, it is having two parallel channels because of the presence of a ridge over here. When these two maxillary stylets are kept together, it forms a canal or channel, and these canals, the dorsal canal, that means the upper canal is the food canal or the suction canal, and the ventral canal is the salivary canal. That means once the stylet is inserted into the plant tissue, plant sap will be sucked through this dorsal suction canal, and saliva will be injected into the plant tissue. In order to slightly digest the plant tissue, saliva will be injected into the plant tissue, and saliva will be injected into the plant tissue through the ventral salivary canal. Are you clear regarding the internal structure of a maxillary stylet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have two stylets, mandibular stylets, and two pairs of stylets, mandibular stylets, which are anterior, which have serrations at the apices, and we have a pair of maxillary stylets, which is having two grooves. And when these two maxillary stylets are kept together, it forms two channels or canals. The dorsal channel is called as the suction canal or the food canal, and the ventral channel is called as the salivary canal. So I told you there are four bristle-like stylets which are modifications of a pair of mandibles and pair of maxillae, and these bristle-like mandibular and maxillary stylets are enclosed in a grooved labium. Labium is modified into an elongated proboscis, and this elongated proboscis is grooved on its dorsal surface. See, you can see this will be the labium, which is modified into an elongated proboscis, and this upper part, the dorsal part, it is grooved, and all the four stylets, the two maxillary stylets and the two mandibular stylets, will be enclosed in this grooved labium. So the mandibular stylets and maxillary stylets are enclosed in this grooved labium, and you see this is, it will be somewhat like this. So this will be the proboscis, that is the modification of labium. Inside we have a pair of maxillae. Above that there will be a pair of mandibular stylets, and at the base of the labium, the groove is closed by the labrum. It is called as the at the topmost portion of the, that means the proximal portion of the proboscis, it is covered by labrum. So that's what it is written as at the base of the rostrum. This is the base of the rostrum. There is no groove and it is protected or it is roofed by labrum. So this is how the mouth parts in a plant sucking bug is modified. Main modification is the mandibles and maxillae are modified into stylets. Mandible stylets are anterior in nature and its tip is serrated. Maxillary stylets, it is doubly grooved. That means it has two grooves. When the maxillary stylets are kept together, it forms a dorsal foot canal or suction canal and the ventral salivary canal, and all the four stylets, mandibular and maxillary stylets, are enclosed in a long proboscis. The proboscis is grooved on the, or it has a channel on the dorsal surface. At the base of the proboscis we have a labrum which covers the base of this rostrum. So this is the picture of it. If you see this, this is the head. This is the proboscis. You can see this proboscis. This is the modified labium. Inside the proboscis, this is the dorsal part of the proboscis. Dorsal part of the proboscis, it is grooved. Inside we have all the four stylets. Mandibular, two mandibular and two maxillary stylets. At the proximal part of the proboscis, we have a labrum which covers the groove of the proboscis. So this is how a foot canal and salivary canal is formed by the joining of maxillary stylets. See, if you see individual stylet, it is having the shape of a W. When these two maxillary stylets are joined together, it forms a foot canal and dorsal foot canal and a ventral salivary canal. So this is how it looks like. So I will show you a video. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is a bug, and I will show you. These are the eggs of a bug. This is a very big bug, pentatomid bug. See, see it over here. Can you see? I told you the bugs are having opistognathous mouth parts. That means the mouth parts are projected backwards. Can you see the proboscis over here? So this is with which it sucks sap from grape berries of grape bunches. Again, it is clear over now. This is the proboscis. Inside the proboscis, we have the stylets. It will keep the proboscis on the plant tissue and stylets will pierce into the plant tissue. See, you can see how it is feeding. The proboscis is kept, the stylets are inserted into the berries, and it is sucking the sap. Okay, this is a more clear how the proboscis is there. Stylet, these are stylets are extremely microscopic. We can't see it over a normal video. This is an aphid. Aphid is another sucking pest. See, see here, the insect is extremely small. This is a microscopic video. You can see the proboscis. Okay, and see what you see at the dark tip. All these are mandibular stylets. Mandibular stylets are slightly sclerotized because it has to pierce the plant tissue. So this is how the proboscis in an insect works. When a hemipteran insect works to suck sap from the plant tissue. Next, we will move on to the dipteran piercing and sucking mouthparts. So, I told you in piercing and sucking we have two types, bugs and mosquito. The bug we call it as hemipteran type, and second one is dipteran piercing and sucking. Dipteran piercing and sucking is seen in mosquitoes. Here, instead of the four stylets which we have discussed in the case of hemipteran type, here we have six stylets. We have two mandibular stylets, two maxillary stylets, as we have seen in the case of hemipteran type of mouthparts. Here we have two additional stylets. One is hypopharynx and the other one is labrum epipharynx. So we have six stylets, labrum epipharynx, two mandibular stylets, two maxillary stylets, and one hypopharynx. And similar to the hemipteran type, the labium is modified into a groove-like structure or a proboscis to receive all the six stylets. So the proboscis or the rostrum is formed by labium. It is similar to hemipteran type and it forms a sheath and it receives all the stylets except labrum epipharynx. Labrum epipharynx, it is remaining outside this groove, and mandibles and maxillary stylets are used for piercing the skin of human beings, while hypopharynx forms the salivary canal. Inside the hypopharynx, we have a channel that is the salivary canal, and labrum or the stylets that is the labrum epipharynx is through which the mosquito suck the sac. So we have six stylets, mandibles modified into a pair of mandibular stylets, maxillae modified into a pair of maxillary stylets, labrum is modified into a stylet, and hypopharynx is modified into a stylet. Mandibular and maxillary stylets pierce the skin. Hypopharynx has having the salivary canal, and labrum is having the foot canal through which blood is sucked in. So this is how this looks like a mosquito mouthpart looks like. This is the antennae. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stylets, labrum, two mandibles, two maxillae and hypopharynx. And this is these two are the maxillary palpi. Actually, maxillary palpi may not be that elongate. So sometimes maxillary palpi, no, these are the maxillary palpi, and this is the labium, that is the rostrum. I will repeat again. These two are the antenna. Remember, we have discussed about plumose and pilose antenna. So mosquitoes having those kind of antenna. This is labrum epipharynx, two mandibles, two maxillae, hypopharynx, and this is the labium which forms the proboscis. It is grooved. It receives all the stylets except this labrum, and this is this maxillary palpi. Here this marking is slight different, is pretty wrong. Here it is, this is maxillary palpi. It's not maxillary. Actually, this is labium. The marking over here is correct. I will show another. This is how a cross section of this looks like. This is the hypopharynx, which contains the salivary canal. This is the labrum, which forms the foot canal. So this is the ventral part. This is the labium, which forms the rostrum or the groove. Here we have two maxillary stylets. This is the hypopharynx, two mandibular stylets, and here we have labrum epipharynx. It forms the foot canal. This video, you see the title, how mosquitoes use 6 needles to suck blood. See, see it over here. This is the proboscis. This is the rostrum. This slightly angled one. Actually, this is the proboscis. It is grooved on dorsally. This is the dorsal part, and it carries all the stylets. And once the stylets appears in this proboscis, slightly bends, and the stylets are pierced into the human skin. These are the stylets. All these six. See how it pierces into the deep into the skin. See the antennae. Can anyone identify the type of antennae? This one?
No.
Can anyone?
No.
Luminous.
Pilus.
It is pilose antenna. See the difference between, see, one thing you can remember is the pilose antenna is seen in female mosquitoes. So if only female mosquito sucks blood, and see it over here, the number of hairs are less. Will as we move forward in this video, you can see both male and female together. See, it is extremely clear how the stylets pierce into it. And these two are the maxillary palpi. In some mosquitoes, this maxillary palpi may be extremely short, but in some mosquitoes, it is elongate. See, it is extremely clear. The proboscis is slightly bending and the stylus are inserted into. It is almost similar to what in the case of hemipterans also. It's almost similar. See, the proboscis is bending so that the stylus is pierced deep into the skin. See, you can see how now you can see now you see the difference in the antennae. See, it is the antennae in male is more hairy or more feathery in nature. That is why it is called as a plumose antenna. Here it is not that hairy female. The number of hairs is less. That's why it is called as pilose antenna. So you can watch this entire video. I will share this PPT with you. Coming to the next type, that is siphoning mouthparts. Siphoning mouthparts is extremely simple in nature. This is just as we use a straw to suck juice from glass onwards. നമ്മളൊരു ജ്യൂസ് കടയിൽ ചെല്ലുന്നു, ജ്യൂസ് കുടിക്കാനായിട്ട് ഒരു straw ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന പോലെയാണ് the siphoning mouthpart. This is seen in lepidopterans insects, especially butterflies. And here the mandibles are absent. There is no need for mandibles because, as you know, butterflies feeds on nectars, purely liquid food. So there is no need for mandibles to bite and chew. And there is an elongated proboscis, and this elongated proboscis is the modification of Gallia. I think you have seen the yesterday's class. Maxillae contains a outer Gallia and inner Lacinium. A maxilla consists of a basal cardo distal stipes. At the tip of the stipes, we have a outer two lobes. One is outer Gallia and the inner Lacinium. Here in lepidopterans or in butterflies and moths, this Gallia is elongated into a sucking proboscis. And this is the Gallia. If you think this as a Gallia, it is channeled along this inner side, and two Gallia, the elongated Gallia, will be kept together, which will be kept together by the help of a hook and spine, and it will be kept together to form a channel. The proboscis, it is a modification of Gallia. It is elongated. It is having a channel, and when these two Galliae are kept together, it forms a channel through which the liquid food is imbibed. So that is in the case of siphoning mouthparts. One thing with respect to siphoning mouthpart is that it is an elongated structure, because depending upon the butterfly, because you have seen certain flowers are extremely, the corolla is extremely deep in nature. That means the proboscis of the butterfly should be elongate to reach the base of the flower to take the nectar. So the proboscis may be elongate, but after the sucking part is over, after the feeding is over, these proboscis will be coiled and rolled and kept beneath the thorax. The proboscis will be spirally coiled and kept beneath the thorax. I will show you how it is. We'll have an excellent video. So this is how it looks like. The maxillae, we have two Galliae elongated, and these two Galliae will be coiled together when not in use. And you see the inner aspect of this elongated Galliae is having a channel. When these two Galliae is kept together, it forms a foot canal, and there can be a labial palpi present. See, see this. This is the proboscis. Can you see how it is coiled over here? You watch the video again closely. Now the proboscis is elongated. It is inserted into the flower to suck the nectar. And once the proboscis is taken back, watch this video closely. See how much elongated the proboscis is. See the proboscis, it is inserted into the flower, sucking the nectar, and when it is not in use, it is coiled back and kept under the head and thorax. So this is how a simple mouth modification of butterflies looks like. See this video. This butterfly is feeding on the cut citrus fruit. See, you can see it over here, the elongated proboscis, it is the modified gallia. See it over here, is sucking juice from the fruit itself, not from the flowers. So this is how a mouthpart is modified into butterflies. One thing you can understand from this, all this is that based on the kind of food consumed by the insect, it has modified its mouthpart. Now it is clear, you can see it is two channels, it is kept together. So that's how, based on the kind of food consumed by the insect, the mouthpart is modified. Butterflies are meant to butterflies, the mouthparts are meant to suck the nectar. So the mouthpart is modified in a way so that it can suck the nectar from the flowers. So this is with respect to siphoning mouthparts of butterflies. Now we will go to another mouthpart, that is sponging mouthparts. Just as the name indicates, it's a kind of sponge which absorb fluid from surfaces. This is seen in houseflies. And in the just like in the case of siphoning mouthparts of butterfly, mandibles are almost absent. But in some flies, we have mandibles, but mostly the mandibles are absent. And again, we have a proboscis, but the proboscis is a composite structure. It is a fused structure fused by the fused by three parts. One is labium, then labrum, and hypopharynx. So proboscis is a composite structure formed with by labrum epipharynx, labrum, hypopharynx, and labium. The proboscis is divided into three parts. This is the proboscis, this is the head. This proboscis is divided into three parts. This basal part of the proboscis is called as rostrum. The middle part, this part is flexible, and this middle part is called as haustellum. And the distal part of the proboscis, the tip of the proboscis is called as labella. Here it is labella. And this distally expanded lobe-like part of the proboscis, that is the labella, it is a modified labial palpi. Maxillary palpi is present. So this is a modified labial palpi. At the distal end of the labella, if you see, you can see a groove-like structure. This is called as pseudotracheae. I repeat, at the tip of the labella, we have pseudotracheae. I will show a close microscopic view of how a pseudotracheae looks like. And we have an opening, that is opening foot canal. And this is the labrum. I told you the proboscis is formed by labrum. We have hypopharynx over here, and we have labium. So the proboscis is formed by labrum, hypopharynx, and labium. And the proboscis are having a basal rostrum, median haustellum, and distal labella. Labellum is a modified labial palpi, and labellum consists of labella is at the tip of the labella we have pseudotracheae. So proboscis is divided into basal rostrum. It bears maxillary palpi. I have shown you the maxillary palpi in the diagram. We have a median flexible haustellum. At the tip, we have a labella, lobe-like labella. It is modified labial palpi. It is having pseudotracheae. I shown you what is pseudotracheae, and it serves as a means of attrition. Attrition means it helps to break the surface, food surface. I tell you, if you keep a sugar crystal over here, it's not liquid, but you can see, take a case of you are keeping a laddu exposed in a table. You can see more houseflies coming over and sitting over the laddu. Laddu is a solid food. So the most houseflies won't be able to imbibe liquid from it. So what this pseudotracheae will do, it breaks down this solid thing into a liquid kind of thing, so that it can be sucked in through the food canal. That's why it is called as, it's a means of attrition. That means breaking the things down. and the proboscis is grooved just like the proboscis is grooved in the case of dipteran and hemipteran mouthparts, and it receives all things except maxillary palpi. Maxillary palpi is free. The foot canal is formed by the opposed labrum and labium. See over here, this is the foot canal. This is the labium. This is the labrum. Labrum and labium is kept together and it forms the foot canal. So this is the foot canal. This foot canal is formed by keeping together labrum and labium. And salivary canal runs through the hypopharynx. That is hypopharynx as the salivary canal. And here you can see the maxillary palpi. This is another picture. This is rostrum, postellum, labella. It is a modified labial palpi. We have pseudotrachea over here. If you see the cross section, you can see the foot canal formed by the labium and the labrum, and we have hypopharynx. Hypopharynx contains the salivary canal. So the proboscis is formed by a composite structure, that is labrum, hypopharynx and labium. See, it is sponging kind of, we call it as mouthparts as sponging kind of fiber. Just like a sponge, it absorbs the liquid food. See the mouthparts, this is the proboscis. You can see the basal part, this is the rostrum. This median flexible part, this one is the postellum. And the tip part, that is the labellum. And we have two maxillary palpi which is lying free. See how the housefly feeds. See, using the labella, the food channel will be formed, and this labella, it sucks the sap. See, it sponges it. Now it is cleaning the proboscis. See, it is again sponging. It is again sucking. Okay. Here you can see the pseudotrachea. This video I have taken only to show you the pseudotrachea. See, this is the labella, the tip of the labella, and you can see the pseudotrachea over here, and you can see the opening of the foot canal. So this is a microscopic thing. You can see the pseudotrachea. It is the means of attrition. That means it rupts off the thing, and you can see the opening. So now you see the pseudotrachea clearly, and see the opening. So this is how the mouthparts of a sponging kind of housefly mouthpart looks like. Now we will see into the next kind, that is rasping and sucking. Rasping and sucking mouthpart is seen in thrips. Thrips is an extremely small insect. Here, the basic distinguishing mark of a rasping and sucking mouthpart is that it is an asymmetrical mouthpart. That means we have a pair of mandibles, we have a pair of maxillae, but in this case of thrips, rasping and sucking mouthpart, these right mandibles are absent. That's why that leads to an asymmetry. So the symmetrical mouthpart means we have a pair of mandibles, we have a pair of maxillae, but in here it is asymmetrical because the right mandibles are absent. And here the mouthparts consists of a cone or a rostrum. This it is called as mouth cone because it is conical in nature. This mouth cone is formed by clypeus, labrum, and labium. This clypeus and labrum is in the anterior part, labium is in the posterior part. Both this forms a conical structure. So it forms a mouth cone, clypeus, labrum, and labium forms a mouth cone, and the mandibles is modified into stylet. The maxillae is also modified into stylet, but the difference is that right mandibles are absent, and hence the mouthparts is called as asymmetrical mouthpart. Both maxillary palpi and labial palpi is present. Mandibular stylets pierce the plant tissue, and maxillary stylets form the foot canal. So it has a mouth cone or a rostrum which is formed by clypeus, labrum, and labium. Mandibles and maxillae is modified into stylets, but right mandibles are absent. Maxillae has the foot canal, maxillary stylets has the foot canal. Both maxillary palpi and labial palpi is present. The what the thrips will do is it is a mouth cone. It presses the mouth cone, it applies the mouth cone on the plant surface, and stylet will pierce into the plant tissue, and the plant sap which is exuded from the plant tissue will be sucked up. So this is how rasping and sucking mouth part looks like. See, this is the mouth cone. See, this is the conical structure. You can see it over here. This is the labrum, clypeus will be over here. This is the maxillary palpi. These two are the labial palpi, and you can see only 3 stylets are present: 1 mandibular stylets and 2 maxillary stylets. So this is the mouth cone. So this is the structure of rasping and sucking mouth parts in thrips. Coming to the next, that is chewing and lapping kind of mouth part. This is the last modification of mouth part. This we see in the case of honeybees. Here we have a part which is modified for chewing. That is the mandibles are modified for chewing, and the maxillae and labium is modified for sucking. So, but the mandibles here, the mandibles is not modified for cutting plant tissue and all. The mandibles are flattened and it is used for manipulating objects. These mandibles, though it is sclerotized, the tip, it is not having this incisors kind of thing. You have seen in the last class, the mandibles is having, the grasshopper mandibles are having incisors in order to cut the plant tissue. Here the mandibles are smooth, the tip is smooth or flattened. And the purpose is to manipulate objects. The use of mandibles in honeybees is to manipulate the wax to construct its honeycomb. നിങ്ങൾ തേനീച്ച കൂട് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നു എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. Honeybees construct honeycomb. It constructs a honeycomb using the wax secreted by the insect itself, and this wax is manipulated into a form called as honeycomb. ആ wax എടുത്തിട്ടാണ് honeycomb ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നത്. For that preparation of honeycomb, it uses this flattened mandibles. And the maxillae labium is fused into a single structure, is formed in order to suck the honey or the nectar. And the first we will discuss about the labium. Labium has all the parts. It is having submentum, mentum, primendum. We have a paraglossa and glossa. All the parts of labium is present: submentum, mentum, primendum, glossa, and paraglossa. But the difference is that glossa is elongated into a tongue or tube-like structure. The glossa is extremely elongated. Labial palpi is also present, which is also an elongated structure. So labium, it is having all the parts: submentum, mentum, primendum. Then we have paraglossae and an elongated tongue-like glossae, and we have a long labial palpi on both the sides. And the honeybee sucks nectar from the flowers by the fusion of this elongated glossy. That means the sucking tube, that is the modified glossy. And the tip of the glossa, we have a lobe-like structure called as labellum or bouton. See, I will show it over here. What you see it over here, this V-shaped structure, this is submentum. Because of the particular kind of V-shaped structure of this submentum, sometimes the submentum is also called as lorum, L-O-R-U. I'll show you again. And this is the prementum. This is the mentum. This is the prementum. These two are the paraglossae, and this is the elongated glossae. And at the tip of the glossae, we have a lobe-like structure that is labellum or bouton. So this is how the structure of the labium looks like, and this is this elongated structure on both sides. This is the labial palpi. So we have submentum, mentum, prementum. We have paraglossae, elongated glossae. It is a tube-like or tongue-like structure. At the tip of the glossae, we have labellum or bouton, and both the sides we have labial palpi. And we see the structure of maxillae. See, this is the labium, the middle part. This is the maxillae on the sides. These two are fused into a single structure. And base of the maxillae we have cardo, and stipe is slightly enlarged, and maxillary palpi is extremely reduced. This small structure is the maxillary palpi, but gallia is enlarged. You can see this enlarged structure, that is the gallia, but Lacina is lost. Lacina is absent. So maxilla, we have cardo, elongated stipes, a reduced maxillary palpi, and enlarged gallia, but Lacina is absent. So here it is mandibles are flattened. It is grasp for manipulating and grasping objects. Maxillae and labium fused into a single structure, and the labium is having all the parts. Submentum. This submentum is a V-shaped structure called as, also sometimes it is a V-shaped structure and it is called as lorum. See this kind. It is a V-shaped structure, inverted V-shaped structure. So it is also called as lorum. Submentum, mentum, prementum. The paraglossa is there, but the glossa is elongated into a tongue-like structure, and it sucks the nectar. Tip of the glossa we have labellum or bouton. Take the case of diptera in housefly, it is labella. It is here. It is labellum. Maxilla, we have cardo, stipes. The gallia is enlarged. I told you Lacina is lost. Maxillary palpi is reduced. And what it will do is this tongue, this glossae will be remaining inside, and this will be covered from the sides by this labial palpi and these two gallia. So the tongue will be inside. From the sides we have two labial palpi and the gallia. And inside this gallia and labial palpi, the tongue will be moving forward and backward to suck the nectar. So the gallia and the labial palp, the gallia will be here, labial palpi will be here, both are enlarged structures. It forms a tube inside which we have the tongue-like glossae, which moves up and down to collect nectar. So this is how a housefly mouthpart, it is called as chewing and lapping mouthpart, looks like. We'll show if one or two videos, and then we will wind up today's class. Please see this video. This is explaining, I'll show this video again when I am discussing about the modification of mouthparts and wings in honeybees, legs and wings in honeybees. And see the mouthparts, now they are starting to dissecting the head. And see the mandibles. So these two are the mandibles. This one, these two are the mandibles. See here, it's not pointed. It is a broad plate-like structure. It is flattened in nature. Now the mandibles are extremely clear. It is not pointed. It is broad and flattened. Again, they are focusing it again. You can see the mandibles clearly. This is the labrum. This is broad and flattened. And this is the fused proboscis. See, this is the fused proboscis, fused structure formed by mandible, maxillae and labium. See the glossae, see the gallia which is expanded. There will be labial palpi over here which forms the elongated structure. See this. Yes, now you can see it over here. See, this is the gallia. You can see the small maxillary palpi over here. This is cardo. This is stipes. We have the paraglossae, elongated glossae. We have the labial palpi over here. We have primendum. This is the mentum. And here we have the V-shaped submentum, that is lorum. Usually in the practical, this used to be shown in the practical. We used to show the slides wherein it was pretty clear. But try to understand, this is the expanded gallia, this is the labial palpi. Here we have the glossae. This is the maxillary palpi, primendum, mentum, submentum. We have the V-shaped lorum over here. This is types. We have the cardo over here. You can see this is the cardo. Okay. See, see it over here. This is the elongated lapping tongue of honeybees. This is the glossae. You can see the labial palpi and the gallia over here, which forms the tubes on both the sides. See, this is the labial palpi. This is the gallia. This is okay. Once more. See, this is the glossae, the middle part, that is the tongue. This thing is the labial palpi and this is the gallia. So this is the tongue, how it works. We call it as the lapping tongue. See this entire structure, when it is elongating, this entire structure is formed by, you can see the gallia, there will be labial palpi. Inside we have this gallia which is glossa, which is elongated into a tongue-like structure. See, this is the tongue which is elongated. See, this is again clear. Here you can see the mandibles pretty clearly. This is flattened structure. See the tongue. The middle part, it is having the glossae, elongated glossae. Both sides we have gallia and the labial palpi. So This is for today. Any doubts? Someone has given the correct answer in that. Philos antenna. Okay. Nehela and Krishna Priya. Okay, fine, good. Any doubt? Are you able to follow these things, or it is? Are you finding it difficult? Hello? Are you hearing?
Sir,
Is it difficult, or are you? Is it okay?
it's okay, sir, but a bit difficult.
Uh, If you find any portion difficult, ask me. I am uploading the entire lecture. I am recording the entire lecture and uploading in the Moodle. Go through that uh, lecture videos again and again. If you are finding it difficult, and if you have still have doubt, oh, Afif is telling it is difficult. Okay, it's a bit difficult. I know, that's why I'm trying to show as much videos as possible. If you go through it again, if you find it difficult, anything, you can discuss it. You can discuss in the class, or give me a message over Moodle, or give a message in WhatsApp. And one more thing, all these things, yesterday's antenna, yesterday's general mouthparts, and what are the modifications of mouthparts, all these things are included in the practicals. You have to include in the practical record also. You have to draw the diagrams. Okay, fine. This After this, the next few, even the portions are a bit tough. So, okay, fine. Okay, so I will try to, in the next class, I will go into the thorax next track matter tomorrow, and we will hopefully by next 2 to 3 classes, maybe 3, maximum 4 classes, we will finish of the morphology portions. Try to attend the quiz portion. Don't worry about the marks and all. Try to attend the quiz portion, because that will help you to improve your learning process. I have just put the quiz not to grade. I am not checking the grades of each and everyone. I will just check how average marks you are getting. This is the way to refresh yourself. So otherwise, I must have asked questions in the class. Now I can't. So that's why I'm putting quizzes and all. Don't think that every day sir is putting quiz and all. It's for a learning process. Okay, fine. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Okay, thank you.